I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to continue on the subject of exercise and how to get the most out of it. I'll go ahead.
I'm going to grab some paper.
Huh?
I'm grabbing paper and pen.
Okay, good. Let me go ahead and share my screen.
All right, I'm back.
Cool. Dorothy, did you notice our little logo? Our habits champions.
That's nice. Who did that?
I did that.
That is cool.
That is
I like
nice.
that.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be the final one. My brother-in-law's going to work on one, but he's in the throes of moving, and it just wasn't an option for him right now. And of course, these are our habit champions. And I thought tonight, before I got started in with the exercise, that I would just highlight about our Optavia community. I don't know that people really use it to its full extent. You have Optavia support. You have the client support. And that, of course, is where you're placing your orders. You actually can call them and place your orders, but right now probably isn't a good time because they're doing that transition from the old system to the new system, and there is no getting through. So computer is your best choice right now. Nutrition support. Dorothy, you want to explain nutrition support real quick for anybody that might be watching?
Well, every time I have a question,
Lean into your computer.
every time I have a question that I feel it's important to check, I get a hold of nutrition support. I usually email them, and I have an answer within a short period of time.
I know, and it's so much better if you do it yourself because you're talking to people who that's their field, that's their background. I know Carolyn Strack, she has got to where she takes pictures of everything and sends them to nutrition support. And then we have the Wednesday night call that doesn't get utilized, and it's the doctor support call. I have to confess I haven't been using it as of late, but anytime I have a client that has a question that's medically related, I always get on the phone with the doctors and the nurses, and I always learn something when I do that. And then, of course, tomorrow night we have our Habits of Health, and Nicole's going to be doing the Habits of Health tomorrow night. We all know Nicole. She's really very special. And tomorrow night's going to be on structural tension. Burn the boat, baby. You like that, Lisa?
Love it.
Lisa is our structural tension ninja.
I have mine right here. I can't see what I'm showing, so.
Yeah. It's her structural tension chart. She can show it to you after we get through if she wants to share. So we're going to continue with the staying fit at any age. And, food is our fuel. I don't know that we've always looked at it like that, but truly it's where we get our energy from. And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do a little bit of reading tonight. Who would like to read first? Anybody want to volunteer?
I will.
Come on, leaders, speak up.
I will.
Thank you. Go ahead.
How our body metabolizes energy. At rest, our heart beats at least 70 beats per minute. Our resting metabolism represents the amount of energy required to maintain bodily functions and keep our core temperature at about 98.6. While sleeping or at rest, our heart rate is 60 to 70 BPMs, and we are burning about 1 calorie per minute. This is the basis for our basal metabolic rate. Men burn calories at a slightly higher rate than females, mostly because they have a greater muscle mass. Most males would have a BMR of 1,400 per day, and most females would have a BMR of about 1,200 calories. These numbers are important to weight loss.
So I'll stop share right now because I wanted to talk a little bit about what we've learned. And when we're aging, we automatically lose muscle. And as you lose muscle, you're quicker to gain weight because muscle burns more fat. And as you're losing your muscle, now your calories get stored as fat quicker because you no longer have that extra muscle to burn it. You can continue to add muscle, and because of that, your muscle then will burn more fat. And that's what they mean by men's has more muscle. And because of that, we have experienced as coaches how when we get a couple and the husband is losing a lot of weight and the wife is not so much, and it always drives the women crazy, but it's just a fact of life. Let's go back. Lisa, you want to read?
Sure.
Are you reading? Did we lose her?
Who, me?
Lisa.
Oh,
Okay. Dorothy, you want to read?
I'll read.
Okay.
In terms of fuel, our body has three primary energy sources. Number one is fat, an almost endless supply stored in fat banks all around the body. Number two is glucose, a much lesser supply stored in the muscle and liver. Number three is ATP, adenosine triphosphate, a very limited supply stored in the muscle cells. Fat is the preferred energy source when the body is at rest and continues until we are working at 65% of our predicted maximum heart rate.
So how to determine your optimal fat burning heart rate? How do I determine that? So you take your 220 and you subtract your age from it. Here you have an example of a 50-year-old, and that would be 170. Then you take the 170 and you are burning fat when you're at 65 to 75%, I believe. That's the high end of it. Once you go over 75%, you're burning glucose. And then once you go over 85%, you're burning that ATP, and it doesn't last very long. So knowing what's your maximum heart rate and putting yourself in the range that you want to be at really controls how much fat you burn, or how much glucose you burn, or how much ATP that you burn. The maximum intensity, the short sprints or bursts of activity that last 2 to 5 minutes, when you see someone that can't draw their breath anymore and they have to quit, that's good for athletic condition, people who are in competitive sport. The aerobic, the 75 to 80%, that's when you're burning the glucose. And that's good for building endurance and cardiovascular. The 60 to 75%, that's light, moderate intensity, brisk walking, jogging, cycling, good for burning fat, increasing endurance, and heart health. The 50 to 60% is light intensity, warming up, cooling down, new exercisers, good for beginners, getting in shape, overall health. You remember last week I was talking about people who go into the gym and you see them really exerting themselves, and they're doing themselves more harm than they are good because they do not know how their body uses the energy. Now this is me. 220, that why they come up with that number, that's what your heart rate is at birth. And I'm 69 years old. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? So I'm 69 years old, and I subtract 69 from 220, and that's 151. Now, if I want to stay where I'm burning fat, then I'm never going to do more than 75% of my maximum heart rate, which is 113. And I can do as little as 91%, and I'll burn more fat than I will if I was on there trying to go full out. Now, once you reach 75% to 80%, you're burning the glucose that's in your body. And then, of course, once you reach that ATP, now that is stored in the cells and muscles. Glucose is stored in muscle. And then, of course, the fat is stored around your body. If you have a tracking device, you can use it. If not, you can take your pulse for 15 seconds And you can do that on your neck, you can do that on your wrist, and you count the number of beats you get in that 15 seconds, and then you multiply it by 4, and you will know what your heart rate is. But a lot of us already have the equipment that actually shows us what our heart rate is. Denise, you want to read?
Sure. It's on my little phone. So when we exercise enough to exceed 75% of our MHR, our body can,
Maximum heart rate.
maximum heart rate no longer can provide enough fat for combustion, so the body calls for glucose. From 75% to approximately 85% of our body will use glucose as the energy source. Beyond 85%, our body shifts to ATP. If you go from rest, 70 BPM to 90%, you're almost immediately bypass the ability to use fat as a fuel source. Instead, you require the body to use
ATP.
My phone's ringing. Because ATP is a short supply, and you are generating lactic acid. You can only keep this up for a very short period. You are forced to drop the workload back because, I'm sorry, I got to keep moving my phone up and down because I can't see it. You have to. At best, you are now burning glucose for fuel, and you never tap into your fat sources. At this point, you have not tapped into your fat sources at all, and you have depleted your blood glucose, which will leave you, I'm sorry, I can't see, craving sugar to replenish, which ultimately gets converted to body fat.
Thank you. You did a good job. I know what you were doing.
Yeah. Trying to make the word bigger.
That was cool, but you did good. You took it on. So the whole point, now I could have done more, but I don't want to overload you with information because I really want you to get the benefit of how important it is. Just as we had our 5-in-1 and we put you in fat burn, and it's more important to be in fat burn and burn that fat than it is to do other things that you might do it going to a gym, using up more calories, and now you're no longer burning fat and you're actually slowing down your metabolism. So the body is scientific, it works in a certain way, but we don't always get all the facts. So Lisa, like if you're in the pool and you're doing your aerobic exercises, if you're staying within your maximum heart rate, then you would be burning fat that you have stored in your body. And you look at your body and you say, do I want to increase my endurance? Do I want to burn fat? Do I want to build muscle and stamina? And depending on what the answer there is, because you have reached your healthy weight, so have you, Marcia Novita and Dorothy and Martha Pickering. So you guys might want to move into the higher intensity, but there's no need to do that because you're getting all your body needs when you go to 65 to 75% of your maximum heart rate. So a lot of people think the more you do, the better it is, but that's not necessarily true. It depends on what it is you're wanting. And if you're in some kind of training or competition, then getting in there and burning the glucose and burning that ATP is something that might matter to that person, but there's none of us that are young anymore, and I don't think we're looking to get out there and run competitive or anything. But I think we are interested in getting rid of the stored fat that's on our body. I also remembered as I was preparing this when we had those little tanks, and remember, and it was going around with the fat, trying to drop it off, and the fat storage, the cells enlarge, so it'll take all the fat that you give it. But the other two categories, they would get full and they would pass it on. And then that's how we gained our fat storage. But we never got into the great detail of knowing your own maximum heart rate that you should have. And that also varies by age. Now, the BMR, the basal metabolic rate, everybody knows what that is, right? Dorothy, you know, right? Okay, you want to explain what basal metabolic rate is, and then I'll go and show them? No, you're muted anyway. So the basal metabolic rate is what it takes to live. It is what you use for digesting, what you use for breathing. It's everything you do in order to function as a human being. And that's what that 1,200 for women and that 1,400 for men is. And when you do exercises, you have to take into consideration how much exercise you're doing as opposed to the calories that you're taking in. And then you find out what the healthy balance for you is there. When you're talking about the fat burning program and the 5-in-1, you're consuming somewhere in the neighborhood of 900 to 1,000 calories a day if you follow it and you're compliant. So that puts you underneath your basal metabolic rate. But because you're getting the nutrition that your body requires, it isn't missing anything. And that's why it's so important not to add any carbs to that program, because the minute you do, then you alert it that it's not getting that 1,200 calories. And that's how you get the rapid weight. Does anyone have any questions on that? Who are you looking at, Dorothy?
She'll just walk by.
Tell her I said hello.
She said hello. Hello.
So let's go and find.
I would like to add that
Go ahead, Lisa.
it might seem like a bit much to be going into these numbers, but whatever phase you're in, if you're in a weight loss or I happen to be in the maintenance phase, it's important to have an idea of your numbers to accomplish what you want to accomplishing. Like Aunt Connie is also my coach, and she helped me figure out my total energy expenditure and taking into consideration how active I am in my days and calculating my maintenance calories, what I'm looking at to stay where I'm at. So all these little things add up in what you're doing to accomplish where you're at in the program.
Yeah, and so when you reach your, and Dorothy has a formula that Dr. A uses that works just as well. And when you reach your goal weight, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to calculate based on your age, your height, your weight, and your activity level, how many calories a day you should be eating in order to maintain your weight. So you'll always be aware of what you need to be doing to maintain. And if you go over that, then you compensate for that. So, Lisa, let's do your BMR calculation here. And you guys can look up your own calculator. All you have to do is put BMR calculator in your Google and call it up. Lisa, how tall are you?
5'6".
And weight is 138, correct?
135.8.
Oh, okay. And the age is?
57.
And you're female.
What's her age, did she say?
She says she's 57, right?
Well, I will be shortly. I'm actually 50.
I'll forgive you.
Oh, there's the one I want right there. I got the wrong one. I want this one over here.
Here we are.
Yeah, there we go. Very good. So,
57.
yeah, that other one didn't have your activity level in it. 57, female.
5'6".
And 135. Okay, 8. And you are, this is your active, and you're moderately active, 3 to 5 days a week, right?
Nope, I'm very active.
6 to 7 days a week. What is your BMR? So her BMR is 1,281. This means that your body will burn 1,281 calories each day if you engage in no activity for the entire day. Based on your daily activity, your daily calorie requirement is 2,210 calories. These calculations are a female of 57 years of age with the height, weight, and lifestyle that you specify. So knowing these numbers, knowing how to burn fat as opposed to burning glucose and then going into sugar cravings, I think is all part of doing this healthy. And that is why I thought we would cover this. Next week, we're going to get into the different kinds of exercises and how many reps you should do, what age you are, what kind of exercises are good for you. And that way we can be more specific about what it is that you're doing. So that is it for me tonight. And I would like to get feedback from everyone. And Tony, I will start with you.
What? What did you say?
I said I'll start with you with feedback for what you heard tonight. What's your takeaway?
Well, I guess that I'm doing everything okay because I'm not gaining any weight and I'm not losing any weight. I'm staying right there. So I'm exercising enough. Today I did good exercise. I swept, I dusted, I mopped the floors, I did housework.
Come on over here.
All of that is that's a lot of exercise.
Me
That's all
first.
the exercise I needed.
Have you ever calculated what your maximum heart rate is and what
No, I have not.
so what do you think about doing that?
But yeah, I like the idea of doing that. But you know, I'm lucky that you take care of that for me. I'm sorry. I use Connie to be my, you know, honey, figure that out for me, and then I do whatever.
Just tell me what to do. All right. Who are you passing to now?
Bird mom.
I love that look you give every time they call on you.
I know.
A different one each week.
I didn't know about that BMR stuff. I'd like to calculate that and see what it is.
You exercise a lot, so you might as well do it with intention.
Yeah. Well, I think a little bit less than Lisa. I think I'm one level down from Lisa. I'm not like intense. I don't think I'm intense. So.
I'm not intense either, but as I have got my goal weight and I track everything I eat. I track the amount of active time I have. And I said I picked that level because I do exercise 6 days a week and I am active 2 hours or more a day.
And that does describe you.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
it's not pumping iron in the gym. It's in the pool, it's dancing, it's walking, it's moderate intensity, but there's more of it in my day, and it's 6 days a week.
So I probably need less calories. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's interesting, though. I'd like to figure it out.
I will help you with that anytime you want to do it. And who would you like to pass to?
To Martha Pickering.
I think the biggest thing is going back. I've forgotten about calculating your how many calories you should have in a day, and I really have not been keeping track of that. I haven't done it in a long time. Hi, sweetie. Oh, let me get my grandson. Good night, honey. Hello. Can you say hi to Mom?
Hi,
Can you say hi,
Connor.
Connor? Can you say hi to Connie?
Oh, he's so cute.
Yeah, I know you from when you were, before you were born.
Yes. I like your haircut, Connor.
Hi.
Good
See you in the
night.
morning. See you in the morning. See you in the morning. He's our miracle. But I haven't been really watching, and since I'm really more on maintenance than anything else right now, because my sugar is coming down, and so I'm really happy about that.
Oh, yeah. And Dorothy, you're past to Dorothy or to Denise?
Let's do Denise.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Phoebe last.
Well, at this point, I'm not where you girls are, really. So, but that's interesting. I'll be very anxious when I'm down there to where I need to be. But I will be keeping track of that. I think that's really healthy and insightful to know what you really need to maintain and stay at that weight and keep you keep you accountable more.
Right.
Yeah. Right now, I'm in my fixed trance. It's kind of a no-brainer. You do your 5 fuel packs, eat your lean and green, and it's kind of cozy.
And I like how you call it a no-brainer. And the other part I care about in talking about this is we have so many people who do the 5 and 1 that they just really, because everybody always says exercise, 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 and we don't want you to exercise. We want you to walk. We want you to be active, but it's all at a baby's pace. You worry about that exercise once you've taken care of the issue with the weight first.
Sure.
You crawl before you walk, and it's a formula that we all follow. And then the other thing that is interesting to me, and I find this with my clients, I don't know if the other coaches do as well, and it even applied to me personally, is I had gotten so big that I didn't eat hardly at all. Tony used to say, if you stopped eating, you'd starve to death. And you have to eat to lose weight. And that's one of the things.
Amen. Woo!
Yeah, that was like a huge, I couldn't believe that. Here I thought I had to not eat to lose weight. But that's one of the things that being on the 5 and 1 is you're regularly fueling your body, where I don't know if it's true of you, Denise, but you may have gone hours without eating, or even all day without eating, or be up in the morning at 6 o'clock and not eat the first thing until noon. All of those things were detrimental to us. It was hurting us. It wasn't helping us. So all of this goes hand in hand, the nutrition and the exercise. And we'll get into the sleep and the other things that are, thank you, Lisa, that are important. But you do have to eat to lose weight, and getting all those fuelings in and measuring and getting your lean and green, your water, your sleep. They all matter, and they show up when you on your journey. You got to talk to your coach.
Lisa didn't get called either.
Oh,
Yeah, my coach, Dorothy.
You're going to go to Dorothy? Okay.
I thought it was very interesting. I mean, you can always learn something new every day, and that I thought that all of that information was very good. I don't even know what that third thing is.
The ATP. So I understand it, so I'll explain it to you. The fat is what's stored in your body. The glucose is stored in your muscle. The ATP is stored in the cells in your muscle. So when you're burning fat and you're at that lower heart rate, then as long as you stay at that lower heart rate and you keep watching that, whatever, like my range was it 92 to 115? So if I keep watching and I stay in that, I'm only going to be burning fat. At the minute I go to 120, then I'll start burning glucose. It isn't that it's bad. Marcia should burn glucose because she has a problem with blood sugar. So there's a reason to be in any place. Now, the person who reaches that ATP and they pull that little bit that's stored in the cell of the muscle, that's somebody that is extreme. And they're bodybuilding and stuff like that, and they can't go at that rate, but just for a very short period of time because the ATP runs out quick.
That lactic acid is what causes muscle spasms, right?
And they get that when they get into the ATP, and that's the reason they can't stay there very long. And you can damage it's like everything else. Too much can hurt you of anything, regardless of how good it is for you. Yeah.
Yes, and Lisa.
Okay.
Oh, that was fabulous information. I mentioned that I track everything, and so
Did you
my,
want to share that structural tension chart? Because they couldn't
yeah.
see it when I was.
Okay, so I don't know if you can see it, but this is my structural tension chart from last year. And in the bottom, let's see if I can get it. So in the bottom, I have my weight was 174. I can't read it. And but
We
my
can
weight,
read it. It's 174.4, and you started January 11th of 2018. And I don't. Oh, that was your waist circumference was 40, and what was 29?
the BMI, my BMI was
Your
29.
BMI was 29. Okay, so go
Now
ahead.
to the end of the year, right here.
And so on August 5th from January,
So
your
this is actually the end of the year, and the date's wrong in there, but at the end of the year, I reached the numbers here. I exceeded them actually.
so from 29 BMI to 23, and your waist came to 36, and your weight to 140 from 174. And okay,
And this was my structural tension chart, and it went the span of a year, but I have a new structural tension chart now because I'm at a healthy weight, and my goal here is on the bottom. My beginning was weight 140, BMI 22.7, active. What did I say?
120 minutes
Right.
average daily.
And then my goal is just to maintain a healthy weight of under 145, which I'm doing that. And then these are my steps that I take to do that. I weigh daily, I track my food, I maintain, and the 120 minutes of active daily, that's not exercise, but I started with a little bit, and I do water aerobics, 45 minutes to an hour and a half. Some days I just do half that, but I do line dancing. I also do Zumba, which Aunt Connie teaches, and so does Marsha. We do Zumba twice a week. I track my steps. I get minimally 6,000, depending on my days, up to 12,000 or more on the weekend. But all of this has been incremental. But I want to highlight, so I weigh daily, I track my food. That means everything that crossed my lips is accounted for, everything. I maintain my activity level, maybe gradually increase, but or switch up what I'm doing. Also, incorporate new activities. I'm having a hard time reading it. I drink my water. I don't drink 80 ounces because that's too much for me. You should drink half your body weight in water, and as I'm now 135, I stick at about 64 to 70 ounces of water. I get my water every day. It's programmed into my day. Before I hit the floor, 16 ounces of water. On my way to my morning exercise, a bottle of water. It's programmed in, and it makes a difference. Improve my sleep and plan my meals better. That's something I'm still working on. But the reason why I'm sharing the structural tension chart is clearly it works. Last year I got to a goal weight, and this year I'm maintaining it. This is my little, I made this. I think I shared it with Marsha Novita.
Yes, you did.
This is a little graph that I made just for myself. I put my weight in my phone every day, but my goal is now to keep a healthy weight for 2 years. I'm almost 5 months in, so I prepared this ahead of time by the date. I weigh in on Mondays, and I've been religious about it, and I'm mostly excited about it. If you see on that right-hand corner, like at the beginning of the months, I have been hovering around 138 for 3 months now at the beginning of the month. I'm very proud of that. That's not possible without being mindful about what you're doing. And Denise, you may not know this, but I've gained and lost over 900 pounds in my adult life, so I have no problems losing weight
You
right
shared
now.
that.
I'm maintaining it.
Yeah, and
I'm proud. That's awesome.
well, it's something. It's steps we all are going through, and it's everyone else's story that gives us the inspiration. I know when I saw my sister, that's what made me know I could do it, because I knew my sister. And so, and that's how this business is made is through word of mouth and other people seeing you and you wanting for them what you found and them wanting it for themselves. So, yeah. Well, I enjoyed this tonight very much, everybody. And we'll continue to have our Zooms on Tuesday night like we always have. And next week, we will learn how to properly do different exercises. Okay? Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And don't miss
Thank you, guys.
don't miss the Healthy Habits tomorrow night. It's on structural tension.
Yes. Woo!
Okay.
I'm excited about that. They'll show you how to do the structural tension.
Okay. Okay.
Have a good night.
If you're not able to make it, we will post the recording in the support group.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Habit
Thank you.
champion.
Yes. Good
Go
night,
have-
everybody.
Good night, you all.
Night,
Good
Poppy.
night.
Good night,
Nice.
Denise.
Good night, you guys.